Grandpa is punishing my dad. I have the power to stop it, but don't know if I actually want to. I'm using a throwaway because if any of my friends or family see this, I don't want them to know my main account, since I have some very private things on there. I F21 lost my mom when I was 14. Dad remarried when I was 17. My stepmom has a daughter F15, she and dad had a boy M3, and now she just gave birth to a little girl. Anyway, I have worked since I was 16, to have so money to buy stuff for me. When I turned 18, Dad said I was now an adult and should start paying rent. It was only $500. A symbolic amount since he would still cover food and other essentials. I was mad and we fought, but in the end, I accepted and that was the arrangement until 7 months ago. Dad came to me saying I had 2 months to move out, stepmom was pregnant, and they would need my room for the baby. Which is insane because they both have private offices. My stepmom doesn't even need one since she's a som since the birth of my baby brother. Nonetheless they told me I had to move. By the way, just an addendum, me and stepmom get well fine. We don't fight or bicker. I don't think this was an evil stepmom moment, but who knows. Me and stepsister are actually pretty close, I help her with homework, and talk about her personal problems. I do love her very much. Back to the story, I didn't know what to do. I'm going to a college, I want to be a civil engineer, and work part-time. I don't have the means to live by myself. I called my aunt, asking if I could move in with her for the time being, until I figured something out, offered to pay rent and all. She was aghast at what Dad was doing. She said I absolutely could live with her, no rent needed, but also said she was going to deal with my dad. The next day Grandpa came to our house, and they talked privately. I could hear my dad's angry voice, but couldn't understand anything being said. After a while Grandpa came to my room and said I had 3 choices. The first was continue living with Dad and stepmom like I was doing, nothing would change except without paying rent. The second was moving in with him and Grandma, or my aunt. Third was find a place of my own and he would pay the rent and costs for me. He said I didn't need to choose now, I could keep living with Dad and if I changed my mind to just tell him. I was actually relieved I could still live with Dad, and that this madness was over. But the following days and weeks, Dad and stepmom were very hostile towards me, and I felt incredibly uncomfortable being in my own home. Even Cassie picked this up and asked me why they were angry at me. So, I decided to move out and told Grandpa. He said he would take care of everything. Few weeks later he moved me into one of his rental units. The apartment is lovely, he bought me a fridge, stove, and other essential items. He gave me a check for $15,000 saying this money is to help me start living on my own. And that as long as I am working or studying, I can live there rent-free, for as long as I want. My dad and I have been pretty low contact since I moved out. He never came to visit me, or I visit them. I miss them a lot, especially my stepsister, but I'm still hurt. 2 weeks ago, my stepmom gave birth. I visited them in the hospital. It was a little awkward, but nice seeing them and my baby sister. Anyway, few days ago Dad calls me, saying he misses me, the children miss me, and I should move back home. He apologized for asking me to move out, etc., and I told him I would think about it. Yesterday I visited my aunt, and was telling her what my dad said, and my cousin laughed a little and said, "I'm sure he does." I asked what he meant, and that's when they told me a lot of, until now, unknown information. Basically, my dad's home is actually my grandpa's, as is my aunt's. Basically, the deal he made with me, he did with all his kids and some grandkids as well. He never wanted any of his family to have to worry about basic stuff like house, and food, etc. When I called my aunt that time, she called Grandpa, which was furious with Dad, not only for kicking me out, but also for charging me rent. That day he went to my dad's and tore him a new one and threatened to have him evicted. But now the petty part, you know that $15K Grandpa gave me? It's actually what I paid Dad in rent all that time. And now he's making Dad pay him back. Also, he's charging Dad $1,200 for the rent loss in apartment I'm living in. Call me dumb, or naive, but until now, I never realized my dad didn't make that much money. We lived in a great house, always went on vacations, and lived very comfortable lives, but I guess Grandpa has always been helping behind the scenes. Now my cousin thinks Dad is struggling, with 3 kids at home, a single income, and having to pay it back to Grandpa. So, he says Dad wants me back, because he imagines Grandpa will stop punishing him if I'm back living with them. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I'm actually loving living on my own these past 6 months. But I do really miss them. I miss my siblings. I miss the life we had before all of this, but I don't know if moving back home is the right answer, and also, I'm hurt the reason he wants me back is money. Honestly, I just wanted to vent. Now for the comments. Commenter 1: Stay right where you are. You can miss them and love them from afar. Go be with your grandfather and your aunt's family. They seem like the real family. Also, try to go see a therapist. Commenter 2: He doesn't want you though, he wants money. And knowing this is always going to hurt you and chip away at your self-worth. Original poster: This is the weird part. Because I know this. But also, it's difficult to see my dad that way. These past 6 months I wondered why he kicked me out. If I had done something. Now I'm thinking, was it all about money? Commenter 3: How about starting new traditions with your aunt and grandparents? They love you and want you around. Original poster: Yeah. They've been great. I visit them whenever possible. Grandma isn't in the best of health, but she even came to visit me on my birthday. I'm very lucky to have them and their support. And thanks for the kind words. Commenter 3: Also, I have a feeling your grandfather would, but unconvinced to change the rent your father is paying even if you were to move back. He is charging your father to make a point, not to actually cover your expenses. Original poster: It makes sense. I've been reading what people say and I'm more comfortable with staying where I am. Less guilty. But maybe I should talk with Grandpa about it, to hear his side. I now realize I've been too sheltered from information I think I need. Update: I wanted to give you guys an update, since you've all been so helpful and kind to me. I was so overwhelmed by the support you gave me. Thanks 1,000 times. Before, just answering some questions people had. My aunt and grandpa are from my father's side of the family. My mom's side, unfortunately, I don't have much contact. My grandparents have passed away before mom. I have uncles and aunts I see once in a while, but they don't live close. I also have 2 other uncles from my father's side. I'm close to them, but not as near my aunt. She was my rock when mom died. I consider her a second mom. My stepmom knew about the rent I was paying. It was implied stepsister would need to do the same when she turned 18, but I don't know if she knew dad didn't own the house, or the extent of how much grandpa has financially helped dad. Monday, the day after my post, I called dad and said I decided to not move back. I didn't mention anything I was told, just that it was well settled here, and moving back seemed like a step back. But I also said I wanted to keep in contact with them. They could invite me for dinner whenever they wanted, and I also said I would love for my stepsister and brother to be able to spend time with me here at home. He was disappointed, and I didn't feel any angriness in his tone at least. But he basically said a "we'll see" and left at that. I was also disappointed. But then Friday he called me, asked me if I wanted to have lunch Sunday today. I said I already had plans with Grandpa and Grandma. He asked when I would be free. So, we schedule a dinner for Thursday. I haven't told any of this to my stepsister. We talk and text regularly. She also hasn't heard they talking about me. But she did say her grandma, her mom's mom, is there to help with the baby and is being incredibly annoying. I laughed at that. I wanted to offer her to sleep over here but didn't want to get her excited just for dad to say no, so I'll try talk with them Thursday. The big update is I've just came back from visiting Grandpa and Grandma. We spend a lovely day together. But I also said I wanted to know everything that was going on. I wasn't a kid anymore and I felt like living in lies. The most important things were things my cousin and aunt told me last week. But there were a few more. Grandpa had been subsidizing quite often our basic needs, like school, healthcare, etc. Because dad haven't 1 cent saved up according to Grandpa. Also, my college fund was mainly contributed by him and mom before her passing. I guess that makes sense. I was also dumb to not realize this sooner. He also has set up funds for my baby siblings. And also one for my stepsister, because he didn't want her to feel excluded and not have the same opportunities as her siblings. This man is incredible. I love him so much. And yes, I'm very lucky. I've seen so many people commenting this, not in a derogatory way, but being very supportive and nice. I know I'm very privileged to have grandparents and family members who can afford and are willing to help me. I hope one day I can help others the way they are helping me anyways. I also expressed worries about dad's financial situation. And he assured me dad is fine, more than fine. He will have to be less frivolous with money for a while, but that he would never let any of his kids or grandkids to suffer or be in the need for anything. As many of you said, he's trying to teach dad a lesson I should have taught him a long time ago. So, I'll stay out of it. I don't think I'll tell dad that I know all of this. I know many of you said to confront him, but I think it's for the best if he continues thinking I'm oblivious. Lastly, we talked about why dad kicked me out. He didn't have an answer either. I could see he and Grandma were very hurt by what dad did. He said he asked for an explanation but got none. That's it for now. I'll continue trying have a relationship with my siblings outside of my dad and stepmom. I also try to schedule some weekly dinner with them. I know what you guys said about my father is mostly true. But I need to at least try have a relationship with him, if not for him, for my siblings, and for me. But don't worry, I won't let him hurt me anymore. Now for the comments. Commenter 1: Your grandfather is the GOAT. I wish I could have had someone like him in my life. I still think that your dad is trying to erase his last wife, your mom, from his memory, as I have heard about such things all too often. Although maybe not consciously? I am not sure at this point if he is being honest. I hope things go well for you.